Hey everybody, and thanks for clicking on this video and checking out my channel. Well, Avengers Endgame has been in theaters for a weekend now, and a little bit more. I've been able to see it twice, so I just want to get it all out of my mouth. I want to talk about everything I can talk about in my non-spoiler review. I just want to talk about this movie, and this is your spoiler warning. I'm going to talk about this movie from beginning to end. At least I'm going to try to stay pretty linear. There's a lot in this movie that happens, so I'm going to try and catch it all. So if you have not seen the movie yet, do you even want to see it by this point? I'm kidding. If you haven't seen this movie yet, watch the movie first and then watch this video after, because this movie should not be spoiled for anybody. That's your spoiler warning. I'm going to talk about spoilers. So if you haven't left yet, this is your last chance. In 3, 2, 1, let's talk spoilers for Avengers Endgame. So one thing that I didn't want to say in my non-spoiler review is that this movie did almost everything that I wanted it to do. Like, it almost went into my brain. It was kind of freaky how much it caught everything I wanted it to do. And the reason I couldn't say that is because I do have a video on my channel. It was like the third video I ever did or something like that, where it was 5 things I wanted to see happen in Avengers Endgame. And a lot of those things got touched on or hit perfectly. So let's talk about the beginning of this movie. Hawkeye is on his farm that we saw from Age of Ultron. He's training his daughter with bow and arrow. He's got the ankle bracelet on because he did make the same plea deal as Ant-Man did from Civil War. So they're both on house arrest. They're having a picnic. Hawkeye turns away to talk to his wife and his sons. He turns back. Boom. The daughter's gone. There's dust particles in the air. He turns back around. The rest of his family's gone. Boom. Marvel. The card starts. And right away you get a sense of just like, oh, this movie's going to make an impact on me. This one's going to have the tissues involved. So we see Nebula and Tony. They're on the spaceship. He's teaching her how to play paper football, which was really a cute and endearing scene as they're working on the ship, and he's recording a message for Pepper. And one thing that I noticed in this scene is that in the trailers, he looked okay. In this one, they really, they skinnied him down. He looked kind of like how Chris Evans looked in the first Captain America movie. I was worried for how skinny he was. He looked really malnutritious. It totally worked. He's been on the ship, I believe he says 23 days, I think it's been since after Infinity War. So he hasn't had much to eat or drink, so he's in bad shape. All of a sudden, a bright light comes, and boom, it's Captain Marvel saving Tony, bringing him back to Earth. I'm okay with this. When I first watched it, I was like, that's kind of lazy, isn't it? The whole galaxy, and she just runs into Tony Stark and brings him back to Earth. But then I remember the tag from Captain Marvel, the end credits of Captain Marvel, where she's on Earth, and she's like, where's Fury? And that wasn't in this movie, so I figured she went there first, then they talked about Tony, and she went to find him, so brought him back to Earth. So I was okay with that scene. And then Robert Downey Jr. gives one of the best performances of this character. I know I've said that, for almost all of the Marvel movies, but he really does. When he breaks down to Captain America, at first he arrives and he's kind of in shock. He's like, I lost the kid, and Cap's like, Tony, we lost everybody. And he goes into the Avengers facility, and all of a sudden he starts breaking down. He's bringing things up from Age of Ultron. We needed this. I told you we needed a shield around the world. And then he goes into Captain America Civil War. You weren't there. You said you'd be there, and you weren't there, and we lost. Collapses to the floor. He was just in bad shape, and Robert Downey Jr.'s performance during that scene was fantastic. He was so good in that scene. So with help from Nebula, they find out where Thanos is because he used the stones again. And the same energy that they saw happen from a planet was the same amount of energy they saw come from Earth after the snap happened on Earth. So with Captain Marvel and everyone and Nebula and Rocket's help with the spaceship, they fly to Thanos' location on the farm where he is, and he is wrecked, man. He is he's all burned up. He's moving slowly. He has a limp. He is not doing well. He's making himself some soup or something, just having a nice, Sunday evening. And then, bam! They just bust through his cabin. They hold him down. Thor is not messing around this time. Cuts off his hand with the gauntlet on it. They're talking to him. They're like, where are the stones? He says, I used the stones to destroy the stones. What has happened cannot be undone. And what does Thor do? Right off his head. Which was fantastic. My theater applauded and laughed, especially after the comedic joke from Thor. What did you do? I went for the head. It was perfect. It was so good. Couldn't have done any better. But bottom line, beginning of this movie, Thanos is dead, but the stones are gone. There's no stones, so their hope is gone. Cut to 5 years later. They did a time jump. I wanted a time jump. I didn't want this to feel like it's been a week or a couple weeks. I wanted a time jump. But I only was like, I want a year. At least give me a year. They gave me 5. And when you go to the state of the world, it looks so depressing. It's gloomy. It's dark. Cap's running a support group, and everyone in this world just seems so depressed and defeated. They captured the world so well. It has not been taken into good shape, but they also kind of go into like how Thanos' snap did actually help the world. There's that scene where Cap comes into Black Widow and he's like, hey, there's some whales in the Houston or whatever it was. And she's like, really? And he's like, yeah, less ships, less pollution. They're able to go in that water now. So they kind of touched upon like Thanos kind of did a good thing. But they can't get over the fact that half the universe is done and they weren't able to help them. So then we cut to a storage facility with Scott Lang. Scott Lang's van in there and a rat runs over, which is a bit coincidental. That's not how I kind of thought Scott Lang would come out of the quantum realm. I kind of thought it had something to do with, at the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp, where Janet mentions, like, don't get into any time vortex. I thought he'd get sucked into that and shot out in the 5 years. But that actually does come into play when the time travel stuff happens. But anyways, the rat runs over the controls, shoots Scott Lang out, and I love the way that Paul Rudd plays this scene. He is the confusion and the worry, and when he runs into that kid on the bike, he's like, kid, what happened? The kid doesn't say anything. I don't know if that kid's parents were dusted, maybe he's on the run, maybe he's a homeless kid now. Like, that's one of the things that this movie kind of makes you think about, was like, what happened to this world? And Scott Lang, he goes and finds the memorials of all the vanished people, which I loved. I love that they did that. It just made it feel more real. It really did feel like the world was hurt, and they were all going through this together. And he's looking through all the names. He's looking for Cassie. He can't find Cassie, but he finds his name, which causes him to run back home, desperate to see if Cassie's there. And Cassie's like 17, 18 now. Like, she is old, and the way that she's not old, but she's older. And the way that Paul Rudd plays this scene of like confusion, and he's a little scared, and then he kind of just like he falls into it. He's like, you're so big, and it's a really sweet moment between them. And after that, he goes and he finds the Avengers facility, which is like, he was the only one that's been known as vanished. Everyone thought that he went with the snap. When he shows up, Cap and Black Widow are shocked. He comes in there, he talks about his theory. The quantum realm has a different sense of time. For them, it was 5 years. For him, he was in the quantum realm for only 5 hours. So he devises this plan of time travel. Well, they don't know how the quantum realm works. So where do they go? They go to find the one who might know, Tony Stark. And Tony Stark is another person that the snap benefited. Thanos' snap benefited Tony's life. He's now married. He's living in a nice log cabin with Pepper and their little daughter, Morgan. And seeing Tony Stark as a father and with a daughter is so sweet. It's so nice to see where this character was in Iron Man and to see how much he's grown even to this point with having a daughter and a family. And he always had father issues in the movies. And now to see him be a father himself, and he's a great dad, is just really sweet. I love to see in that. But they come to him. He doesn't want to help. He doesn't believe that their plan will work. But without being able to stop thinking about it, he's doing the dishes one night, and he looks at the picture of him and Peter, and he can't let Peter down. You can see it in Robert Downey Jr.'s performance and his face. He's like, I can't let the kid down. I have my life, but he didn't get to have his. So he works on a model for time travel, and he figures it out. He figures out quantum realm time travel. He puts Morgan to bed that night, where we get the I Love You 3000 scene, which I'm pretty sure has embedded itself into pop culture already. I'm seeing that all over the place. And goes downstairs with Pepper, and he's like, I did it. I figured out time travel. But there's a part of me that wants to just put this in the ocean, drop it, and never look at it again. And I love what Pepper says to him. But would you be able to rest? And that's it. He wouldn't be able to rest. So he goes back and oh, I totally forgot. So they can't get Tony's help, so they go to find the Hulk. And the Hulk is now merged together with Bruce. Bruce and the Hulk are like one being now. He's not the big hulking guy that he was. He's now pretty relaxed and calm. And he's Hulk's form with Banner's brain and personality. And I love the scene in the diner where he's taking the photos with the girls. Hulk out! And he's like, that's Dab. And they don't know who Ant-Man is. I like that scene. That was really funny. So, anyways, they get Hulk's help. They can't figure out time travel. They're trying out all these experiments and theories, and Scott's coming back as a baby and an old man. And another really funny scene where Hulk's like, time travel! And Captain America is just like, he's depressed and he's sad that it didn't work. And then Tony Stark comes up, and they have a nice reconciliation with him and Cap. He gives him back the shield that he said didn't belong to him at the end of Civil War, but he gives it back to him. And he tells them, I figured it out, I got time travel, we can do this, or we're getting a team back together. And then we meet Thor. And it's been 5 years. Thor has New Asgard on Earth. It kind of looks like Norway, where he went to go find his father in Thor Ragnarok. But anyways, that's where Asgard is settled. But they run into Valkyrie, which is good to see that she's alive. And she's like, he won't see you. He only comes around once a month for beer. He's not going to see you. And we go and Rocket and Hulk go into Thor's cabin, where he's playing video games with Meek and Korg. Good to see those guys too. And I love the way the camera starts on his head. He's got long hair again, his beard, and we slowly pan down, and Thor has let himself go. He has a beer belly. And I actually love what they did with Thor with this, because to me, it was a joke with a purpose. Not only was it really funny, and the way that Chris Hemsworth played it off was really funny and great, but it works for his character because he's so depressed. He went into a depression, and he gained weight because of it. He just sorrowed he just drank his sorrows away with beer, and he got a beer belly. And it works because in Infinity War, that is really a movie of his quest for revenge and vengeance against Thanos. For he killed his brother, he killed half his Asgardians. He finally gets there, he has it in his chest. He could have killed him, he didn't kill him. Not only did he not kill him, but he let half the universe disappear. And that really affected Thor. You see that at the beginning of this film too. He's ticked off. So I ended up really loving what they did with Thor. I thought it was great, I thought it was funny, and I thought it emotionally worked for the character and his arc. So they're able to get Thor back, and they got the time travel going, and they split up into teams, and you got Cap, Iron Man, Ant-Man, and Hulk. You have Black Widow and Hawkeye. Oh, and Hawkeye as Ronin. I thought that was really cool what he was doing, because he lost his family, so he was taking down bad guys who didn't get snapped because he didn't feel like it was fair that they lived. So I love the line that he gives when he's like, they got Thanos, you get me. I thought that was really cool, and Hawkeye was so, he kicked a lot of butt, and he was awesome in this movie. So they're able to get him and Natasha, Black Widow, and Hawkeye are a team, and they go to Vormir, and Rhodey and Nebula go to the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Rocket and Thor go to Thor the Dark World, and Iron Man, Captain America, Ant-Man, and the Hulk go to the first Avengers movie, the Battle of New York, because their plan is to get all the stones from the past. The stones are destroyed in their present, but they can go into the past and get the stones and use those stones to reverse everything. And that's when they get into their time travel concept. And it's really fast the way the Hulk says it at first, that I almost didn't catch it, and it made the movie feel a bit flawed and confusing to me with the way they use time travel. But I believe what the Hulk says is, it's not like Back to the Future. The past is now your future, and the present's now your past. So you can't go into the past, which is now your future, and change your present, which is now your past. You can't change your past from your future, is what he says. And it's really more interdimensional time travel than it is, because they go into different timelines. They get into that. It gets confusing if you really think about it. But I just suspended my disbelief, and I went with the movie. I was like, okay, movie, that's your rules. I'm gonna go with you. So I love that they go into the past to get the stones, because it gave us such great moments. My favorite moment was in the Battle of New York, with the first Avengers movie, because this is in my review when I said they gave me things I didn't know I wanted, and when they happened, I was like, oh yeah, I totally wanted that. You get to see the Battle of New York from a totally different perspective. You see that the Ancient One is actually helping out the Avengers in the Battle of New York, which makes so much sense, because the Ancient One would have been in New York at that time. So it's really cool to see her there helping out with the Battle of New York, and she has that exchange with Banner. And then Tony's in the Avengers Tower where they just caught Loki, and you got Crossbones, and Robert Redford comes in. And it totally makes sense that those guys come in because they were part of S.H.I.E.L.D. They didn't know that they were Hydra yet, which leads to a really great scene where Captain America gets in an elevator with them again, and it's set up just like Winter Soldier, but instead of fighting, it looks like they're about to fight, and then he leans in and he goes, "Hail Hydra." And they just give him the scepter. It was great. I loved that. And then he fights Captain America. Captain America fights Captain America from 2012, which was fantastic. What a cool moment. I loved it so much. And it was just really cool to see that at first Avengers movie again. It was kind of a nostalgic feel too. It was like, wow, look at how far they've come. And it was just really cool to go back to that era and have a little fun with it. It totally reminded me of Back to the Future Part 2, but I love Back to the Future Part 2, so I loved seeing that. And they're able to get the Mind Stone from Loki's scepter, and the time stone from the Ancient One there. Bruce is able to convince her to give it to him because he says, well, Strange gave it to me, so you should give it to me. And she mentions that if they take the stones out, their reality branches out to a new timeline, which I think is going to come into the Loki series because they didn't actually get the Tesseract in Avengers 2012. Loki took it and vanished, and we don't know where he went. The movie never says, so I'm sure that's setting up the Loki series that's coming out on the Disney streaming service. So that was kind of cool. Anyways, they couldn't get the Tesseract, so Tony thinks of another place it might be, and him and Captain America go to 1970. They go to a military base in 1970 where Tony runs into his dad as he's getting the Tesseract, and that was a really nice moment to have Tony have a reconciliation with his father in the past. You see it in Robert Downey Jr.'s performance. This character, he wants to tell his dad so much. He tells him, I have a kid. He talks about Morgan. He talks about being a father with him. He sees his dad before he has Tony, and he sees how worried he is to have a kid, and he kind of reassures him, like, it's gonna be good. You're gonna be good. And he talks about how, I used to think of all the bad stuff with my dad, but now I just think of the good stuff. It's all good stuff. And I really liked that they had a reconciliation with Tony and his father issues in this movie by going to the past and talking to Howard from 1970. Where we also see Captain America run into Peggy Carter. He doesn't say anything to her, but it was a really sweet moment to see him run into Peggy and just have Haley Atwell there, because I've always liked their relationship. More on that a little later. But anyways, they went into the past mostly to get Pym particles, because they need Pym particles to travel in time. They ran out when they were in 2012. They only had like 2 trips each. So they have to go to the past, 1970, and get the Pym particles, which they do. So that's kind of Captain America, Ant-Man, and Iron Man's journey into their past. Then we get Black Widow and Hawkeye. They're going to Vormir to get the Soul Stone. What happens at Vormir? You have to sacrifice the thing you love most, a soul for a soul. Which, when I first watched this scene, I thought, what a missed opportunity to have Cap go to Vormir, because that's where the Red Skull is. We could have had Captain America run into the Red Skull, and I was like, what a missed opportunity to do that. But when I watched this movie the second time, it worked a lot better for me, because Hawkeye and Black Widow have kind of been set up to have this really intimate past and be really, really close with each other. So to have those 2 characters go to Vormir and have to sacrifice one of themselves for the Soul Stone, I think did end up making more sense. Even though I kind of feel like if you had Captain America there with Black Widow, they kind of had more of a brother-sister relationship to me. I just felt like we got to see more of their relationship than we got to see with Black Widow and Hawkeye. But it still worked out really well to have Black Widow and Hawkeye go there. And they're battling each other. To sacrifice. They want to save one another. They're trying to sacrifice themselves for the other one. Who wins out at the end? Black Widow wins out at the end. And I did not see this coming. I did not see Black Widow dying at all. It completely shocked me in the theater when she is the one that lets go and falls into the Soul Stone realm and crushes her head like Gamora. It looks exactly like Gamora's shot. And she's dead, and Hawkeye gets the Soul Stone. That's kind of their journey. And then you get Nebula and Rhodey, and they're at the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie going to get the orb, which was really funny to see Chris Pratt. They first do the actual beginning of Guardians of the Galaxy when he's singing "Come and Get Your Love," and then they cut out, and it's just Chris Pratt like "Come and get your love," like being an idiot because the music's not actually there, and Rhodey looks and everyone's like, so he's an idiot, right? And that was really funny. They knock him out. They get the orb, the Power Stone, which the Nebula from that is connected to the Nebula from 2014. So she starts getting like visions of what they're doing, and that's how 2014 Thanos finds out about it. More on that a little later. So then we get Thor and Rocket. They go back to Thor: The Dark World, where of course is where Thor's mother died, and the reason they have to go back there is to get the Reality Stone, the Aether, out of Jane, because in Thor: The Dark World it was in Jane, so they have to go and get it out of Jane. And he runs into his mother, and he's kind of like Tony. He has a nice reconciliation with his parent, with his mother. It was really nice to see the actress Frida again talk to Thor. She did a great job. I totally believe that she was Thor's mother, and the way that Chris Hemsworth is affected by the portrayal of the character and the character itself, and the way that it affects Thor, and you see that through Chris Hemsworth's performance, I thought was great. I loved that scene. I loved getting the reconciliation, and of course he holds out his hand because it's been 5 years, right? And Mjolnir or however you say that hammer name, falls into his hand, and he's like, I'm still worthy, because it's been 5 years. He didn't know if he was still worthy or not. They get the Aether, they leave, and that's all of their journeys into the past. So they all come out of their past. They got the stones. They have a little bit of a morning session for Natasha, which I really liked. I really liked them all on the dock. We can't get her back, and they're all ticked off and mad. It just motivated them even more. So Tony's able to make a gauntlet out of his nanotech to hold the stones in, and they're trying to figure out who it will be. And Thor's like, "I'll do it," but Tony's like, "No, you're not in the right state of mind or anything to do this." And so Hulk says, "I'll do it. It's mostly gamma radiation. If any of you do it, it's most likely going to kill you." And I love what he says next, because just the attention to detail I'm talking about in these movies are remarkable to me. He looks at the gauntlet and he says, "I don't know, it kind of feels like what I was made to do." And that totally took me back to the first Avengers movie when Tony's talking to Bruce and being like, "This happened to you for a reason." And Bruce is like, "So you're saying the other guy saved me? Saved me for what?" And Tony says, "I guess we'll find out." And this is what it is. This is what the other guy saved him for. He's the one that has to hold onto the gauntlet. He has to put it on. It starts going all up his arm, just like Thanos. It's burning him up. He does the snap, falls back. Virtually, it seems like nothing happened. And then a phone starts to ring. And Ant-Man starts walking over. Scott Lang starts walking over to a window. And one thing that I caught the second time that I didn't catch the first time is that when Scott Lang's at the window and he's like, "I think we did it," he sees a bunch of birds flying around a tree. And if you watch the beginning of this movie, when Scott Lang's going around the city and it's all depressed and sad and gloom, there are no wild animals. There's no birds. There's nothing flying around in this world. So to have the birds appear and Scott Lang being like, "I think it worked," was a really subtle way. I really liked how they did that. And then they kind of hit it more in the nose when you cut back to Clint's phone and it's his wife Laura calling him on the phone. And it's like, oh my goodness, they did it. The dust is back. But the joyous occasion has not lasted for long, because Nebula from 2014 was able to kidnap Nebula from 2019, or 2023, because it's been 5 years, so she gets Nebula from 2023, trades places with her, comes back to the present with the guys, and is able to get Thanos from 2014 up there. So his ship comes through the particle time machine that they built, and he starts blasting the crap out of the Avengers facility. They're all underground, they're trapped. Rocket's like pinned down. I can't breathe. Man, that was sad. Hulk's holding it up, trying to save them. Clint's battling some of the alien creatures that Thanos sent down. Thanos is sitting outside and he's just waiting. And Thor, Iron Man, and Captain America are able to come out of the Avengers facility, and they see him there, and they're like, he's just waiting. They're like, "You know it's trapped, right?" And it's like, "Who cares? Let's do this right. Let's kill him this time for real." So they go up to Thanos, and Thanos is just a completely different character. He's not the philosophical, "I just want to bring peace to the galaxy" guy. He is out for blood. He is mad at these people. He's like, "I obviously succeeded. Why can't you guys live with that? You know what? I hate this planet. It's never been personal, but this time I'm going to enjoy what I'm going to do to this planet. I'm going to burn it to the ground, and I'll completely start over again, make a completely new universe. No one's even going to know about it because you guys won't be there to tell them. You guys are going to be dead." And we get an epic battle of Thor, Iron Man, and Captain America all facing off against Thanos, which is phenomenal. The fight choreography in this I thought was fantastic. I love seeing these guys team up in the way that they use their powers together to fight this guy. But to cut a little further ahead, we get to the point where Thanos has Thor pinned down. He's using Stormbreaker, pushing it against his chest. Very similar to Thor pushing it against his chest in Infinity War. Kind of full circle there. He's holding it to his chest. He's about to push it in. All of a sudden you see Mjolnir. It floats up. It goes flying right past Thor, which totally reminded me of when the lightsaber flew past Kylo Ren in The Force Awakens. But this had a much bigger reaction because the lightsaber went to Rey, but the Mjolnir goes boom right into Cap's hand, and my audience just went crazy for that moment. It was applauding, arms in the air. Yeah! We were all cheering. We were so happy. And that totally harkens back to Age of Ultron when they're all trying to lift the hammer and Captain America like lifts it like an inch, and Thor's face is like, huh? And then when he gets the hammer in this, Thor's like, "I knew it!" And he just kicks Thanos' butt. He's going at Thanos with Mjolnir and the shield. It's phenomenal, an image you never thought you'd see, and here it is. Holy crap. But it's not enough. Thanos takes his sword and he's able to beat down Cap's shield. He's got Cap on the ground. Thanos' army comes. They're all lining up, and it's huge. It's a big army. And Cap's standing there alone, and the army's here. And it's a phenomenal shot. Like, Cap alone with standing up against this army. It was a gorgeous looking shot. I loved it. All of a sudden, Cap's intercom just goes, "Hey, Cap. It's Sam. Where are you?" And I'm like, oh, that's right. they snapped on your left, and a portal opens up, and everybody in the MCU just comes out of it. I mean, you got Black Panther, Shuri, Okoye, the Wasp, Spider-Man, Drax, Star-Lord, Mantis. Valkyrie comes out on her horse. You get Pepper Potts in the armor comes out. Giant Man comes out of the facility, Rebel, with War Machine and Rocket, and they all line up, and you got all these people. It's insane. It's completely insane. This whole universe is just lined up right against this army, and Cap's in the middle of it, and they zoom in on him, and he goes, "Avengers, assemble." And then my audience just lost their mind, and me included. I couldn't believe what they put on screen. Everybody was there fighting against this army. Everybody got a moment. It was thrilling. It was exciting. It was blood pumping. I loved it so much. And this is the kind of stuff like that I just don't know how they pulled off. How did they do that? How did they get all these stars in this one? How did no one leak it? How did no one be like, "Hey, look at all these stars like filming at this location at the same time"? Like, it's everybody's there and they're fighting together, and it's epic. It's completely epic. I love that battle. It was so good and mind blowing. Just fantastic. Loved it so much. Blew my mind. Anyways, cut forward a little bit more to the end of that battle. You have Iron Man facing off against Thanos. Thanos is able to get the gauntlet again, the one that Iron Man built, and he's got the stones in it, and he's like, Iron Man is kind of fighting him with the gauntlet. He's holding it palm up, and he's pulling on it. Thanos pulls it away and goes, "I am inevitable." Clink! What the heck? You cut to Iron Man. He's got his own little version of the gauntlet. All the stones are forming into place. He just looks at Thanos and goes, "I am Iron Man." And all of a sudden, Thanos' army just starts to dust. They start dusting all around him. Thanos sits down, looking around, defeated, and slowly dusts away with the rest of them and blows into the wind. And Iron Man is able to destroy Thanos' army with the gauntlet. But, going back to what Hulk said, this will kill any one of you. And sure enough, Stark's completely burned up. He looks decayed. He looks in bad shape. And I just loved how they handled the death of Iron Man, which is something also I wanted to see. I wanted to see a sacrifice, and I wanted to see it from Iron Man. And this totally counts as a sacrifice. He sacrificed himself to get rid of this evil that he has been fearing since 2012 when he first went up into that wormhole, and he's always been trying to prevent it from happening. He's finally destroyed it once and for all. Well, until later in the MCU, I'm sure there'll be more intergalactic enemies coming in. But for now, he's destroyed what he has feared once and for all, and he doesn't say anything. He just sits back. Peter Parker comes up to him. "We did it, Mr. Stark, we did it!" And he's tearing up and stuff, and then Pepper comes and just slowly pushes him aside. And I love what she says. She just looks at Tony and says, "We're okay now. You can rest." Oh, chills! I just got chills. I loved it so much. I mean, perfect when he's like, "I should have just put this in the ocean. I don't even want to look at it. A part of me wants to just like never do this." And Pepper says to him, would you be able to rest? Cut to the end of this movie. And we're okay. You can rest. And he closes his eyes, and he just peacefully passes on. And then I love the funeral that they have for Iron Man, where they're at the lake, and they got the first arc reactor from the first Iron Man, proof that Tony Stark has a heart, on the flowers floating down the lake. And then you just pan through every single character that has come after the Iron Man movie. It's really symbolic in a way. It's like, this is what Tony Stark in the universe was able to build, and this is what Robert Downey Jr. with that first Iron Man movie was able to build as well. This is what came after him. He led the way for all of this, and they just go through all the characters, everything that was created after the first Iron Man, and what this universe has come to be since that first Iron Man movie. I thought it was so beautifully well done. You get the really sweet scene with Happy talking to Morgan, Tony Stark's daughter, and he's like, "Hey, what do you want to eat?" And she's like, "I want cheeseburgers." Happy says, "Yeah, cheeseburgers. Your dad loved cheeseburgers," which totally harkens back to when he comes back in Iron Man 1 from being released from captivity. And what do you want? "I want a cheeseburger, an American cheeseburger." And I love the way that tie. I just love the attention to detail. I love how much they pay attention to this universe. I love how much they callbacks, the tie-ins. This whole last hour, this whole finale really did feel like a conclusion. And then we get to Cap. And one thing that stuck out to me the second time I watched this is he's got all the stones. He's gonna go back because he has to put them all back in the right place. Because the Ancient One mentioned the first Avengers movie when they went back to that setting. You gotta put the stones back exactly where they are, otherwise our reality is gonna branch out and it's gonna be different. So he has to go with all the stones and put them all back, which means he ran into Red Skull. So that's a movie somewhere that I want to see. Anyways, so he goes, he's putting on the stone backs and he's saying his goodbyes, and he gets to Bucky and Bucky says, "I'm gonna miss you," and Captain America says, "It's gonna be okay." And I didn't catch that the first time. I caught it the second time, because he goes back. Hulk's like, "Okay, we're pulling back in 3, 2, 1. What? He passed his mark. He's not here. Where is he?" And then Sam and Hulk start looking off into the distance, and you see a figure sitting on a bench. And Sam looks to Bucky, and Bucky goes, "Go. Yeah, go check it out." Because I think that Captain America totally told Bucky what he was going to do. He's like, "Hey, I'm going back in time. I'm not going to come back." And he can find that information in with Bucky. So you get Sam go over to the bench, and you get old man Captain America. He's sitting there. He's looking out at the lake, and he's just at peace. And he's like, I took the advice that Tony gave me. I went for the life that he kind of had. I wanted that simpler life. I wanted to try it out with a girl, and passes Sam Wilson. He gives Sam the shield. He's like, "You're Captain America now." He passes on the mantle, and he holds his hand. And when he holds his hand, you see the wedding ring on his ring finger. And Sam's like, "You want to tell me about her?" And Captain America looks out and goes, "No, I don't think I will." And then we cut to like the 1940s. We see a house. We see the music. We hear the music playing. We zoom into a window, and it's Steve Rogers and Peggy Carter finally having their dance in the living room. It's so sweet, sentimental, emotional. A perfect end to the Captain America arc. And then our movie ends. And that was Avengers Endgame, at least the parts that I remember. There's a lot in this movie to go through. I tried to be as linear as I could. I'm sure I missed some stuff. But in the end, I loved this movie. I loved it so much. They did so much that I wanted, even more than I wanted. I thought it was great. I thought it truly felt like an end to this MCU, or this version of the MCU that we know of as of this moment. I just think they got it so perfect. They ended it so perfectly. And the time travel stuff, especially the way that they set it up, could have gone really wrong. It could have completely pulled me out of the movie, and I could have been like, "That's stupid, that's flawed, how did that happen?" But the movie is able to do it in such a way, and they set up their rules, and I'm able to suspend my disbelief and just go on this ride that they've set up for me. And this movie was one of the best movie theater experiences I've ever had. It was filled with laughter, thrills, emotion, surprises, and an audience that was so lively. It just, like, a moment would happen, Cap getting the shield, they go crazy, Thor cutting off the head, and "I went for the head." They all go crazy, yeah, as they're laughing. I had a great time with this movie. When they all came out of that portal, we all went nuts. That image is going to be in my brain forever. I'll never forget the moment I saw that happen. It was truly something out of a dream to see all these guys fighting together. And just what they were able to pull off with this movie and how good it was. It didn't crumble to the ground. It didn't feel overbloated. It didn't feel too heavy for itself. It blew me away. The second time I saw it, I enjoyed it even just that tiny bit more. My hat just goes off again to Kevin Feige, the Russo brothers, Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely, the screenwriters. Oh my goodness, I couldn't even imagine writing this movie. The tie-ins, the callbacks to these movies that make it feel so much like a finale were fantastic. Well, guys, those are my thoughts about everything that I can remember that happened in Avengers Endgame. But what did you think about Avengers Endgame? Did it hit everything that it needed to hit for you? Did you enjoy it as much as I did? Comment down below, let me know. And this is a spoiler talk, so if you want to drop your spoilers, your favorite moments of the movie, go down in the comment section and be my guest. I'd love to talk about them with you. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for clicking on this video and checking out my channel. Once again, my name's Zachary Milne. Thank you for talking movies with me, and I hope you have yourself a great day.